Hey-ho, let's go. A hearty welcome back to the pit to our valued listeners, as well as those that may be joining us for the first time. This is episode 98 of Pugsley's Pit. No unwritten rules, as it were. As usual, I am Sean Pugsley Martin, and this, you will see him momentarily, is Mr. Mike Nelson, here to talk some fantasy baseball.
Let's rock and roll.
Let's
rock and roll.
Rock and roll, whatever.
It's a quarter pole.
You can follow the show on Twitter, Pugsley's Pit, taking the podcast, YouTube. Remember to smash that like button and be sure to hit the subscribe icon for more YouTube broadcasts in the future. Today, we hit the quarter pole of the 2024 season. Who are the MVPs? And more importantly, who are the LVPs?
Look at my devil horns already sticking up because I'm so fucking pissed off.
The least valuable player killing your fantasy teams. Are you patient or not? It's a high-stakes game of polka. And then later, be sure to stay tuned for the end of our show for the hot take segment. Michael, how are you?
I'm good. I'm fresh off. We had a nice break. It was a nice little 2-week hiatus. I'm refreshed. I'm off the rant on hitting instructors. Got to take in a couple of ball games, live baseball, all good. Hot dogs, beer. We'll have a little chat about that.
Yes,
coming up here. But I will say it was my first trip back to Camden Yards since the second year that the stadium opened, and that place doesn't disappoint.
I've never been. I need to get there.
Such a great ballpark. Parking blows. That's what you get with the downtown stadium.
Yep.
But the reality of it is, it was the first of those stadiums, the first of the quaint, kind of retro style ballparks. And I didn't get to see Boog Powell, so I'm a little disappointed. He was not in attendance on Saturday.
Booger must have taken the day off. You could have told him. The guy who named his team after him is dominating 2 baseball leagues that we're in.
Let's not talk about that.
I've congratulated him on his victories, but he calls himself Mr. May. He is the Chris Paul of fantasy baseball.
Yeah, he's the Matt Chapman. Henry Rodriguez. He's the Henry Rodriguez of our baseball league.
So let's get right to it. Look it up
on the Google, kids.
Let's get right to the MVPs. You're going to go first. You got five names. What I did when I got mine, I got some of the obvious ones having big years, but also some guys that might have been a little under the radar.
Yeah.
You think? I know you do as well. So it'll be interesting, but I will defer to age over beauty on this one.
Thanks.
Hey, anytime.
Thanks. So, first off, the guy that could steal 100 bases, Ellie De La Cruz, in our head-to-head league, he's the leading point scorer on the season. He was the 8th rated shortstop going into the season.
Wow.
8th. Oh, and so we'll talk about. I got a piece for the LVPs, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So, if you were lucky enough, if you were in a dynasty league and you kept him, which you should have, or if you were in an open draft and you were lucky enough to get him, he's really helping your team a ton. If stolen bases are a category in your Roto league, he's helping you to be near the top. And head to head, he's giving you great points all the time. He's just dominating. One that I would say, next is Juan Soto, and it's hard not to say that he was an MVP because he was the 7th rated outfielder. He was a 9th rated player going into the season, but to go to the Yankees, go to that hotbed, go to the scrutiny, and put up the numbers that he's put up. And they're consistent. They're not. He didn't have 2 good weeks and then take 2 weeks off. He's consistently piling up points and stats.
Hey, real quick, a question on Soto. We've talked about it before. I'll ask again. What will the damage be PR-wise if they're unable to sign him? The guy's loved.
It's going to be a disaster. It's going to be, I would say, it would be akin to when Arson Judge signed with the Giants, according to John Heyman. the not keeping him. I mean, they can't love him enough, and he
Yep.
looks, by all accounts, like he loves being there. Look, if somebody's going to pay me $600 million, I'd love being anywhere
Yeah.
except Boston.
Except Boston.
So next up is William, not to be confused with the guy who was given a tip to get his glove further out in the lane so he could frame strikes and then ended up getting a fractured wrist. Wilson Contreras. He was the 4th rated catcher coming in, and he had a really good year last year. But aside from Sal Perez, what catcher? I mean, Adley Rutschman's having a good year, but he's still piling up stats. He is the offense in Milwaukee, and it's not a deep position. So from a position standpoint, he's as good as you can get right now.
He's a top 10 ranked in CBS all of baseball, I believe.
All of baseball, yeah.
All of
And
baseball.
he was the 83rd ranked player overall coming in. Now we go to two that were much lower ranked, and they won't be in the right order, but Ranger Suarez was the 337th pitcher, or 337th player, and 128th ranked pitcher coming in. And I'm still waiting for him to give up a run. I mean, the guy he's been brilliant. He's been brilliant. And head to head, he's 20 plus points every time he pitches. He doesn't let runners on base. He doesn't strike out a million guys, but he strikes out enough. And he pitches deep. So he piles up points. And then Seth Lugo, we've talked about him, I think, 3 times.
Seth Lugo with a dozen strikeouts for Team Pugsley Baseball the other day. He is etched in my starting rotation.
He helped me dump Mr. Nepta. Not enough people talk about not Gaetti, because he had 35 points on Sunday with that 12 strikeout performance.
Yep.
He was the 285th ranked player coming in and
great.
the 105th ranked pitcher.
He's been great.
He's been phenomenal. I know we hyped him. I feel like we've hyped him maybe in the preseason. I know we talked about him in the preseason discussion about the AL Central, but we've talked about him at least twice in Who's Hot, or who to pick up. I think it was who you need to pick up, to go get him. And then next was Who's Hot. We continue to talk about the guy, and he's been nothing short of brilliant.
He has literally doubled the strikeout rate in his last couple performances. That was his only negative, was he'd go 7 innings. And look, any guy goes 7 innings, I'll take the 4 or 5 strikeouts, because they add up if you can get 7 innings.
It's like going 12, 25 years
right?
ago.
It is. It doesn't happen anymore. That's why I like Logan Webb so much. But now he's picking up the Ks more than 1 per inning. His value.
Yeah.
I think he's ranked 7th in CBS.
That's amazing, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, he's going to get, if he continues this, and granted, it's a quarter of the way through the season. It's only May. It's a long season. A lot can happen. He's a pitcher, so there's a 60% chance he's going to get hurt. But if he continues at this pace, he's going to get Cy Young consideration, because because as we've said every week, I feel like we're saying it, the Royals ain't going away.
No, they're a good young team. They're fun.
Yep. All right, you're up.
All right, my MVPs. Look, this show's about baseball, so I'm going to just keep it to baseball. Marcell Ozuna is a garbage human being, but again, this is about baseball, and he's having a great year. If he's allowed to play, then he's allowed to play. 329 batting average, 12 homers, 40 RBIs. Nobody saw that guy. I don't care who you are. Nobody could see that coming. He's been the guy that's. I mean, the Braves have a lot of talent there, but they have a couple of guys, and we'll get to one of them. They really haven't done a whole lot, and they haven't done the numbers. Even Acuna, as great as he is, he hasn't been the best player in baseball, and that's the expectation that he has put on for himself.
Yeah.
So Ozuna's just been a rock in that lineup.
Well, yeah, I think you're going to talk about one guy, but Riley's been not great.
Yeah.
Acuna has not been what we've expected him to be. Albies was hurt. They've gotten literally nothing out of catching. Literally nothing. He's carried that offense.
All right. Then Toskar. Love Toskar going to LA. Drafted him in our head-to-head league, and he's been great. He's ranked 18th in CBS, 11 homers, 33 RBIs, 27 runs. What I love about him, he's going to get lost in that sea of big names in that lineup, right? They got so many guys you got to worry about, and he's there, and he's a tough out.
I referred to him this weekend as the luckiest man alive.
He very well might be. Next, yeah, I'm a homer. I got to call out my man Brent Rooker. The A's brass idiots were down on him at the start of the year. He's hitting 303 with 10 homers, 27 RBIs. He had 30 home runs last year. He was a waiver wire pickup from Milwaukee. DH only, but he's raking right now. So good for Brent Rooker. The start of the year was terrible, but much better now. And then to the mound. If Tyler Glasnow if he can get over 120 innings, actually get up to 120, 160, I'd love to see the numbers that he's going to put up, especially on a team like that. 6-1, 2.53 ERA, whip of 0.86, 55 Ks, 54 innings. He's just got to stay healthy. But right now, he looks the part. And he's the type of guy that can help LA get through those October failures. And then the guy I kept last year, and he just took a big, giant defecation on me for doing that. But Dylan Cease, he was on my do not draft this last year because I have a long memory. But I was wrong. 5-1, 60 strikeouts in 49 innings, ERA of 2.19, 0.75. I don't know how to explain the Cease magic. Maybe it's that he's on a real baseball team instead of one that's trying to tank. Not sure, though. But numbers don't lie. He's been great.
You're sure the Padres aren't trying to tank?
He's pitching great. I don't know.
He's pitching great. I never know what do the Padres
I don't
even
think they're tanking.
They don't even know what they're doing. They got a bigger clue than the team we're going to mention later. I can assure you with that.
Sure.
Yeah, he's been great. He's been Glasnow's been as advertised, which is, coming from Tampa to the pressure of LA and having to win. He's been their best pitcher by far.
Yes.
I mean, yet the hype of Yamamoto he's not lived up to it. And how could he? And Cease has been phenomenal. I mean, Cease has been really, really good.
He's the guy I was hoping to get when I kept him last year. By the way, for those that don't know, the all-time worst keeping pitching staff ever, Dylan Cease, Alek Manoah last year, me.
Yeah, the Manoah thing didn't really work out.
No, it didn't. It was a disaster.
It just didn't work out.
It was a disaster.
It was a disaster.
Anyhow, let's not lament on that. It's a new year. My team is somewhat competitive. We're getting there. We're going to hit. We're going to run. We just got to pitch a little better.
Blah, 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 blah.
So in the head-to-head league, I'm coming off my 0.5 point loss to the don't Bogart the joint.
Yeah, you clearly have a bad bullpen because you've lost the tightest games around. Either you don't hit well in clutch situations and your bullpen's not good.
Lost by 0.5 point to Scotty and lost by 2 points to you. And that's painful. Painful.
You could lose by 1,000. Still a loss.
All right. The least MVPs. I will defer to you, my friend. Have at it.
Boy, there are a lot of candidates. So the disclaimer in the LVPs is I didn't mention anybody that's been injured.
Correct.
Because that's too easy, right?
Well, I have one guy that's injured, but he was disappointing before he got hurt. So go ahead.
All right. So I'm going to start with Chris Bassett. And I mean, he was the 46th ranked pitcher. He was 121st ranked overall player. But there was a lot of hype about Bassett and the entirety of that Toronto Blue Jays rotation. And he's had some decent starts, but when he's been bad, he's been really, really bad.
Yeah.
He's been really bad. And he would have been a perfect guy as your third starter in your rotation on your fantasy team. And now every week you have to look at him and go, I don't think I'm going to start him. There's got to be a better option someplace. Maybe I can go to the Kyle Gibson well one time because they're playing the Marlins. I'll pick him up this week. Chris Bassett's been a problem. And then the next guy that's been a bigger problem is Sandoval on the Angels. I mean, he was 158th ranked pitcher coming in, but there was a ton of hype around him. And I usually fall for that, right? I'm i.e. Chas McCormick, but I usually fall for that hype. Like he's going to have a great year. They're going to be better than people thought. They're going to, he may get some run support. His second half was really good last year. All his metrics are better in spring training. And he basically is the same guy that he was coming in. So for everybody that reached on him because they read all the other dopes like us that think we know what we're talking about coming into the year, he's been a big whiff. The next one's about
a pitcher after all.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. I should have considered that. The next guy is disappointing in a million reasons. So first of all, I'm a huge Paul Goldschmidt fan.
Yep.
But to be the 6th ranked first baseman coming in and the 56th overall player coming in, he got dropped in our head-to-head league. I picked him up thinking he can't be that bad forever. It's impossible.
Shouldn't be.
He goes like 6 for 17, looks like he's starting to break out, and then it promptly goes 1 for 38.
Wow.
So, and it's just, I guess the drive line attendance experience clearly didn't work out for him in the offseason. And they're a mess. And he's as big a reason why they're a mess as anybody. And that's hard to say. And
yeah,
I mean, he was kept in some leagues. He's an easy early pick in some leagues, and he's been nothing but a disaster. The next guy, partially because I just don't like him. But
yeah, it's personal here. It's personal.
It's a little bit personal,
okay.
But to be ranked the 46th best player coming in overall and a 6th ranked third baseman, and for the most part, do literally nothing. I mean, he's everybody that has him is looking for a better option at third base.
Yep.
And we're talking about Manny Machado. We're not talking about, Mikhail Garcia. Everybody that, who is a better option right now than Manny Machado. And then last, the biggest disappointment of all the disappointments is Bo Bichette. Because I have him, but
you're making it personal again, Sonny.
He has. I think he has 2 homers. He's hitting like 208. He's not really stealing bases. He looks completely lost. I had the pleasure of seeing him a week ago today against the Phillies. He looks lost. Now, he did have 3 hits last night, but he looks lost. Like his swing is terrible. He just looks completely lost. And 2 years ago, he was a never going to trade this guy in my living life guy.
Yeah.
For everybody that had him. And now he's on like 50% he's only like 50% active in the leagues that he's owned in on CBS. That's
crazy.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So Bo Bichette, boo. Should have put another O in there. Boo Bichette.
Got it. I'll work on that. I'll get the graphics department right on that. My least MVPs. And the first guy on my list is my favorite player. It's Matt Olson.
I hate that bastard. He's killing me.
209, 4 homers, just 1 since April 7th. He did hit one a couple days ago. 16 runs, 18 RBIs. When the guy goes for 50 plus last year, you expect better. I think once he gets in a groove, they're going to start flying out of the place. He'll be okay, but just a god awful start for him. But if he's pressing, he shouldn't be. The team's still good.
Yeah,
they're that good that they can weather that storm and deal with some of the injuries they've had. Next is Wyatt Langford. I know he's hurt, but I'm putting him here because he was the flavor of the month for these drafts. He was probably overpicked, especially in dynasty leagues, and people wanted to keep him. He was the guy. He emerged as the guy in spring training, and he's 224 with 1 homer, which was inside the park. Good effort, but he still hasn't found the bleachers yet. 11 RBIs and 1 steal. not what people thought they were buying around at the draft table. And nor was the 159 batting average from Randy Arozarena.
Ooh.
And his stats, his 17 RBIs would look even worse if he hadn't hit that granny off of Nestor the other day in Tampa. But he's been just a stunner. You wouldn't expect it. He's a keeper type player in a 5-keeper, 12-team league. Again, he's not going to hit 159 all year, but wow, what point does it get going? Corbin Carroll, another guy. He's a first-round draft pick in open drafts, hitting 198, 2 homers, 14 RBIs. Again, not what you would have expected at the draft table. And then the other one, because it's bad and because you're, quite frankly, a Yankee fan, I want to irritate you, Gleyber Torres. 208, 2 homers, 10 RBIs, and a frequent object of scorn from Chris Vitale on Twitter. There you go. I wanted to put Kevin Gausman and Josh Hader and Tim Anderson in here, but I had to cap it at 5. So
the Gleyber one is interesting, right? Because Chris talked about how much his love-hate relationship with Gleyber when he was on with us.
Yep.
And then he cut him on Sunday. And within 5 minutes, Gleyber hit a 3-run homer. Like, I get an email that says that Anal Hershiser cuts Gleyber Torres. And then I flip to the game and Torres hits a 3-run homer. And I went, and there we go. That's all it took. It just took Chris cutting him to get Gleyber off the schneid.
All right. So here's my question before we get to the hot takes. Take a look at your 5 and my 5 of the MVPs. Who is most apt to continue and who is most apt to kind of fall back to the mean a little bit? Look, it's a long year. Guys get off to slow starts. They end up, they're fine. Some guys are on fire. They get back to being who they are. But some guys keep it going. Ellie De La Cruz is the one I'm really referencing because last year tore it up when he came up. Second half was a little slow. He's proven to be the guy everybody thought he was or wanted him to be. He's a superstar all over the place. But who is it for you?
That's Soto.
Yep.
That's an easy one. Like, that's a low-hanging fruit one. It's a low-hanging fruit to put him in here. It's, it was easy, but he's got the track record. He's a consistent hitter. He's consistent. I mean, my second one, it's probably Ranger Suarez.
Really? Well, for your Phillies,
he's a number 3 starter on a really good team.
Yeah.
So he's always gonna have run support. It seems like he's pitching ahead all the time.
It's it's kind of funny because Glasnow is my guy.
I would have said him.
I think Soto will too, and I think Ellie is going to as well. Glasnow doesn't have the pressure you have if you're a White Sox or many other teams because he's going to get.
Both your pitchers, I would say, have a really good chance of. Probably more so Cease because Cease never gets hurt. Cease is never injured. Glasnow's got a little. He'll get a blister in July and miss 5 starts, but I mean it happens every year. But I mean, both your pitchers, I don't see anything that would stop them from sustaining this.
No, Glasnow.
They're both really good. Man.
If Glasnow can make 32 starts, he's going to win the Cy Young.
Yeah, probably.
Is that too far of a stretch? I don't think so.
Probably, I don't know. How many runs is Imanaga giving up? 2?
Not a lot, but
2? I think he's giving up 2. You got to be kidding me with this guy. 7 shutout again the other night. Like, you got to be kidding me. He should be in here.
How about your LVPs? Who's going to get going and who is just screwing the pooch and going to have a off season or reflection?
I think Bo Bichette's going to get going. I think he's the one that's going to get going. I mean, Chris Bassett actually probably a better candidate because he's been through these stretches before where he hasn't been very good. And then he rattles off 10, 11, 12, 13 starts in a row where he's really good.
Yep.
But maybe he just doesn't like Canada. And who could blame him?
Look, the people up there are awesome and the beer is really good. Nice. That's 2 of my main qualifications. Yeah, the hockey team that plays in the French Canadian province is garbage and okay, but
he's not there.
Okay.
No, he's in a province where they have no expectation of winning anything.
This is true, especially hockey.
Especially hockey. But don't be laughing.
Go Leafs, go right to the golf course.
They'll be laughing. You'll be fishing with them after tonight.
Probably. Hey, Florida's been the better team, and they're getting every call and non-call in the book. Anyway, I digress. For me, it's obviously Olsen. He's my boy, and Corbin Carroll's too good.
Yeah,
too good to be doing the rest of it. Langford, you know what? It might just be a rookie struggling. He's not the only one. Jackson Holiday, Heston Kjerstad actually played the other day in a game, made a nice diving catch, and they sent him.
I was there, right in front of me. I saw it. He's made it right in front of me.
Yeah,
literally.
And what did he do?
Literally right in front of me.
Where are they at? Bowie? They at Bowie or for their AAA? Because that's where he is now. You play him once in 3 weeks. What do you want? Let him play.
I will tell you, he's a large man.
Is he?
Yeah.
They should have.
He's got the perfect name because he's about the size of a Viking, for God's sakes.
The Royal fans should have channeled their inner leak from Bad News Bears and Breaking Training with the let him play. My God.
We'll get to them.
Okay.
And it'll explain a little bit as to why.
Gotcha. Anybody on my list you like? What about Glaber? Is he going to fix this?
No, he's not. I mean, I wish he would. I mean, I think he's in a contract year, so his trade value is 0.
Okay.
Right? I don't think so. I think this is what he is. I mean, his best offense is when the fences were in Baltimore.
Yeah.
I mean, when he's hitting the other way, he's great, and he's not hitting the other way that much. His 2-strike approach blows. I think Arozarena is also a good candidate. I can't see him. I can't see him being like this. And I think he had a really good second half last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel better about 3 guys on your list. I feel much better about Olsen, Arozarena, and Carroll not making this list again and at the halfway point for sure, but having getting back to what they are than anybody on my list.
I still think Olsen's going to hit 40 home runs this year. Once it happens, he'll be okay.
Well, that team's not, with the exception of Ozuna, that team's not hitting home runs.
Yeah.
And it's going to get warm quick and the ball be flying out of there like crazy. And their schedule's been a little tougher than some.
Yep. All right. You ready for your closing 5 hot takes?
Yeah, I'm pissed off about all 4 of these, and one of them I'm really happy about. So the first one is to the Phillies. So I went to the game last Wednesday, and they had to replace Dollar Dog Night because the local high school kids would go to those games. They'd buy 25 hot dogs for $1, and they'd throw 15 of them on the field. So they said, we're not doing that anymore. So they do buy one, get one. 2 hot dogs for $5. Pretty good deal. How about not serve a fucking cocktail weenie as a hot dog? How about serve an actual hot dog? The 2 for $5 is actually a hot dog. It equals 1 hot dog. And I think they cooked them in September, October of last year. So not only were they buy one, get one, but they should have bought none, got none because they weren't even good. Like, don't do a promotion and then make people regret that you did the promotion. Come on. You're better than that. You're way better than that.
Be better than that, Philly.
You got to be better than that. I mean, it's a good deal. The place was crowded. People in hot dog suits. It was a lot of fun, but don't serve. I mean, come on. Dietz and Watson makes a better hot dog than that, and you know it, and buy them. Let's go. Come on. All right, next up, my second baseball trip in this last 5 days was to beautiful Camden Yards. And I'm going to tell you something, Oreo fans, Jim Jubb, and the rest of you, Booger, you Willie, you bunch of idiots. Your team you don't deserve to have a good team. You don't deserve it.
Hold on. I don't know what the hell that is.
You don't deserve it. If you're not going to show up, you don't deserve it. You can't bitch for 15 years that your owner's not paying people to come build this beautiful team with all these young players. So he was right. So he could keep ticket prices down and then not go. A 405.
How many did they draw when you were there?
What?
How many did they draw when you were there?
That's where I'm going. Beautiful day, right?
Oh,
405 Saturday. Sorry. The defending National League champions are in, the Arizona Diamondbacks. You got your veteran stud John Means on the mound. You got that great young lineup ready to go. Everybody's healthy. They're not sitting anybody out. Everybody's playing. 27,000 people. Their average attendance is 24,000. They're 20th in Major League Baseball. 20th. By contrast, for a 1 o'clock Wednesday game,
with all that talent,
with all that talent, with a 1 p.m. with school in session Wednesday day game against the friggin' Blue Jays, the Phillies drew 35,000 people. If you can draw 35,000 people for a 1 o'clock in school year game against a terrible baseball team, I'll get to them in a second. And you're a first place team with all that young talent, and stop wearing Ripken jerseys. He retired 40 years ago. You got a bunch, like, get an Adley Rushman jersey, get a Gunnar Henderson jersey. Come on, spend some money on your baseball team, fans. Don't bitch about what you don't have. And then when you have it, don't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous. So many empty seats and so easy to get seats for a 4 o'clock Saturday game. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Boo on you, Baltimore. And your parking sucks too. How about that? We'll throw that in while we're getting there.
Well, now. We're through 2. 3 left.
I do feel so much better.
I seem a bit salty today.
I'm going to throw a 6th one in at the end of this because something happened in that game that gets under my skin. So next up, the fan base in Miami has taken a page out of the soon-to-be former Oakland A's fan base.
I don't have any fans in Miami.
And they are starting a boycott of the owner.
Really?
Yeah. I just read that this week, and they have every right to.
They're a disaster.
They're worse than a disaster. They're the worst record in baseball. The White Sox passed them. How is that possible? Oh, and you picked them to go to the playoffs, I might remind you.
I did. How
do you trade Luis Arias for a guy that found out while he was on second base in a minor league game that he got traded? like what the hell? That's unbelievable. That's great. That's a classic baseball story. And the runner leads a second. Well, timeout. There's a pinch runner. He's been traded. It's like, at least it wasn't to the other dugout, which would have been even better. That would have been an even better story. But why? Why? There wasn't anybody in the minors that was waiting to come up to take his spot. They're jerking around with Max Meyer. They got the city of Miami to give them a big pile of money for a new stadium that nobody goes to.
Yeah. They could move and nobody there would care.
No.
Seriously.
They're the ones that should move.
They should.
I mean, two of the lowest 5 attendances in baseball are Miami and Tampa. They should both be out of there.
Yeah.
Florida's a spring training state.
Yep.
Next up, since I got to watch these guys with a Toronto Blue Jays fan up close and personal, if Don Mattingly's not the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays by the All-Star break, I'm going to be shocked. They're a bad baseball team. And I know their record kind of doesn't indicate that. They're 19-22. They're a bad team.
Why are they so bad? Do they have a core? I was going to ask you this before.
That's a great question. Yes, they do have a core, right? So
they have a core that's just there's no leaders and no winners in that group.
There's no. What do you think George Springer would fill that role? Like, what do you think George Springer would fill that role? And then you re-sign a center fielder who's never hit in his life, and now he's slowing down.
Yeah.
And if defense is your only thing because of how much ground you cover, and then you don't cover that much ground anymore, why is he in your lineup?
That's a problem.
I just think Schneider, I just think that Schneider, their bullpen's awful. And I know Jordan Romano was hurt, but their bullpen's really bad. Like, everybody they trot out there has got an ERA of 5+. Like, their bullpen's terrible. He manages the bullpen terribly. They just look like they don't have any direction at all. And when you see that they don't have any direction, that goes right to one person, right? That's a leadership thing. And if you've got a young team that's looking for a leader, though, as I said, I think George Springer should be filling that role. It goes to the manager. Then that means the manager's voice isn't being heard. So he could be. I mean, I still think St. Louis is going to make a move as early as this week, but I'm still riding on that bet that they're going to be the first manager change. But Toronto's not going to be far behind them. They will make a change.
They're too good to underachieve. They're just too good.
They are way too good to underachieve.
They should be better. Let's put it that way. They should be better.
And then it's going to be a coupled entry, but my last one is in the most anticipated debut since Steven Strasburg. Just a little indication of what Paul Skenes means to the city of Pittsburgh. Their average attendance is 17,000 per game. There was 35,000 people there on Saturday. 34,924. And then that's how you'll know, is if you start to look at the home attendance when he pitches, and if it's in the 30s, they finally got the guy, and the dude can pitch.
Yeah, but
and that. Talk about a bonus. I mean, look, on top of that, right? So the Skenes that saved Pittsburgh is also, she's such a followed influencer.
Yeah,
she's going to bring attention. She's going to bring the same kind of attention to the Pittsburgh Pirates that Taylor Swift brought to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, what's funny is people are commenting on Twitter the other day that she got more airtime in that game than Taylor Swift got in the Super Bowl. I'll put that back up because I know the big man in Massachusetts like to see our whole show through, and he's an avid, ardent follower of Ms. Dunn.
Yeah, of course he is. Of course he is. I guess he got off the Rosie O'Donnell fan club.
Oh, that's not
my last one. I'm going to add one because in the game on Saturday,
you just ruined the bit.
We were sitting literally on the left field foul pole, like 8 rows back. And I kept saying to my kids, like, you got to pay attention, because if a ball comes through here, if somebody homers here, it's going to be a smoke show, man. It's going to be ripping. And Ketel Marte ripped one that was about 8 feet over my head. And a kid, 15, 16 years old, caught it in his head. A spectacular catch. And the entire section is yelling, throw it back. Except for me and the guy that was sitting behind him telling him, don't throw that ball back.
Give it to a kid.
He's 16. Keep it for yourself.
No, keep it.
But when did it become fashionable, aside from Wrigley and the bleachers at Wrigley, to every time a visiting player homers, you throw the ball back? When did that become like the thing? That's as frustrating to me as the stupid wave that I sat through at the Phillies game. Oh. Thanks, Mariner fans, you idiots.
I hate the wave.
But why does first of all, it's dangerous, right? I mean, they're going to throw it back when somebody's not looking. It's dangerous for the players. And then B, like, you caught a home run ball. Why throw it back?
Keep it. You know how many games I went to before I finally got a ball? Did you hear that guy is last night?
Yeah,
I think he got 2 on consecutive pitches. I couldn't see that. I was trying to watch the score box. I don't have my glasses on, but I think it was consecutive pitches.
I got 2 in consecutive innings at whatever the hell it's called on the south side of Chicago. It was Cellular One Field at the time. I got 2 in consecutive innings. One I caught and one rolled right down the steps, right to my hand. Like, and that one went to a kid. A kid got that ball. But and that was probably and those were the first 2 foul balls I ever caught.
They used to, I mean, they're still valuable. I went to a Yankee game when I was in high school on a school bus trip, and one guy was walking down the ramp, and a ball was rolling toward him. He picked it up. It was a Reggie Jackson batting practice ball. And the irony was he hated the Yankees, was a huge Red Sox fan, but he wouldn't give the ball up to anybody on that bus coming home.
Right. It's all about creating a memory, and part of the memory is it's like the memory isn't, and I threw it back. Look at I threw it back, and everybody cheered for me. How about I kept it? First of all, the kid made an unbelievable catch in his hat. The thing was 108 miles an hour. So I mean, he caught it in his cap. Picked it like Greg Nettles, man. It was phenomenal. Like a great catch. And then everybody in these friggin' orange Ripken jerseys. He retired, by the way, a long time ago.
Thank God.
Oh, and moving that wall back, another shit show.
Oh, don't start, Yankee fan. Jeez, we covered that last week. Stop.
Though I did see 2 triples, which is rare to see 2 triples in the same game, and
hit them
it gets in that little cutout in left field, and guys can run forever.
You tell Glaber to act like he's in Yankee Stadium and go the other way with the 215-foot foul pole they got.
There are some of us Yankee fans who would like him to go the other way, like to another team, like that other way.
Well done. Well done. All right, my man. Did you get it out? Do you feel better?
No, I don't, actually. I'm still pissed off about this Orioles thing.
Well, save some of that venom, and you can be pissed off while you're looking up at them in the standings.
The Mets will be next.
The Mets? No, they're actually pretty good, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, what was Igo's tweet? They were on pace to win 132 games, and I still said they're going to hit my number. And they've gone like 3-11 since he said that.
You don't mess with a streak sometimes. You don't. I don't necessarily believe in all that time or the whole time, but don't mess with it. Stay quiet. Be humble like I am.
You speak things into existence. You speak things into existence that you don't want to speak into existence. That's just him knowing how bad his team really is.
We will find out. All right, my man. So look,
I think that's my next stadium visit. I think Citi Field's coming up here in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. Really? You're going to go to Citi Field?
Yeah.
Wow.
I am. I'm wearing Yankees.
Actually, going to the old Montreal Forum, which I did once, and by mutual agreement, I didn't come back.
I will be wearing a Yankee jersey at Citi Field, and I don't care who they're playing.
Hey, Jets open the season on Monday night against the 49ers. What bad could happen to the Jets on a Monday night opening week football game?
I don't know. Let me think about that.
I don't know.
Let me think about that. You know what it is? As long as a conspiracy theorist should not be carrying the American flag. That's what I'm blaming it on. That's what I'm blaming it on.
I'll give you that.
Look at as long as I said to somebody today in one of the groups that I'm in. It's like, oh, we're opening up in San Francisco. How the fuck we get screwed in the schedule? Blah, 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 blah. Well, we're not the Chiefs. We don't have the Ravens and the Bengals back-to-back weeks. But
is that what it is?
As long as he makes it past 4 plays, I don't care what the hell happens in the outcome of the game.
Yeah,
if he's still playing for week 2, we're all good.
Okay.
The NFL, who has found a way to creep into this baseball show, who does it better than the NFL?
Nobody.
NBA playoffs are going. They're super exciting. Hockey playoffs have been great, regardless of how your team's results have gone.
Bad officiating, poorly misguided non-calls to hurt.
The most anticipated WNBA season, which is not a stretch, is about to kick off, and they start to leak and drib and drab their schedule out over 3 days, and they go right to the top of the sports news crawler every time they put something out.
Yes, they do.
And then tomorrow, whatever's going on in sports tomorrow is going to get sucked up by the schedule announcement. And then my frantic look for tickets to Phoenix to go see the Jets and the Cardinals. They own it all, man. They own the whole thing.
They do. All right, we're out.
Don't throw baseballs back. Oriole fans, spend $52 and go see your team play. Not 90 in Philly.
All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
Bye now. Adios.